Hello, it's Anna Hill here with the Farming Today podcast. Tinderbox conditions on fellsides and moorland have led to wildfires across the country. One of the worst has been in Conwy in Wales.
It was just ripping through in it, and I've never seen a fire move in that kind of speed and change of direction.
We'll have more on that a little later. First, this summer we've been travelling around the UK to the biggest agricultural shows. The Balmoral in Northern Ireland, the Highland in Scotland. This week Kaz Graham will be at the Great Yorkshire Show, and we're off to the Royal Welsh next week. Agricultural policy is devolved in the UK nations, and they're all taking slightly different approaches to farming policy post-Brexit. But the overall direction of travel is towards rewarding farmers for environmental actions. This week we're diving into the detail of England's post-Brexit policy. The SFI, or Sustainable Farming Incentive, is the main subsidy scheme. It's up and running again after it was abruptly suspended in March last year, and Defra has just announced that 75% of the funding available in the first window for smaller farms has now been allocated. Bob Hockenhull reports.
The skylarks are singing above as beef and sheep farmer Jane Bassett shows me some of her 53 fields at Hartington in the Peak District. She's proud of how she manages the land for nature.
Well, what you can see here, we've got a really wide range. It's what's called species-rich grassland. You know, we're all grassland farm and we've got some really good species and a wide variety of species, which is fantastic to see. In fact, last week we had a botanist on the farm and she was getting really excited about what she saw.
Jane had put together her latest application for the Sustainable Farming Incentive grant when suddenly the scheme was dropped in March 2025.
Well, obviously they had a finite budget, and once that budget was spent, they had to stop it, which you can see that. But equally, it was very abrupt. Nature continues to want a home. We continue to provide that home for nature. It needs that home. And, you know, they've got environmental targets as a government, and we've got environmental ambition. You know, it has to be funded. At the time, it was a real shock.
So how have you coped since then?
With difficulty. It's a challenge. We're only a small family farm. We've continued to live for nature. It's important for us as a farm, but there is a cost to that. There's no doubt about that in how you manage your farm. We, for example, at the moment have slightly altered our stocking rates and altered them so we provide more of a variety of sward height, which means different grazing heights. So then we're attracting an even wider range of nature on the farm. The walls in the Peak District where we are here, they need to be maintained. They provide a home and a habitat for nature as well, and that all comes with a cost.
So you've tried to keep things going despite not having the funding to do it?
We have, but it's how long we can keep doing that without any funding. That's the problem. We can't keep doing it. My question would be, you know, the government has ambitions, but have they got the budget to match our ambition?
So they have opened up the first of a new tranche of sustainable farming incentive grants, and you're applying, aren't you?
We are applying as we speak. I'm hearing that agents are very busy in this first window already, which is good because that expands nature further, but there's going to be an element of competition in it. So we are quite anxious. I'm quite anxious really, because we've got to sit and wait and to see whether we've been successful or not.
Window 1 for SFI applications opened on June the 30th. It's for smaller farms or farms without an existing environmental land management agreement. Window 2 opens to all farmers in September. Farmer Emily Mosley is also an agent working on SFI applications in nearby Bakewell.
The thing that we are concerned about is that this year there is between 15 to 16,000 agreements coming to an end, and they are estimated to be valued at £400 million. Yet the SFI Window 2 budget is £180 million. So there's a big shortfall between the two.
So you fear that some farmers will lose out?
The budget just doesn't match all these schemes that are coming out, so there's going to be a lot of farmers that will miss the opportunity.
But Defra says SFI 26 introduces significant reform to make the funding go further and reach more farm businesses.
Bob Hockenhull reporting. As amber warnings for high temperatures are issued again for the third heat wave, firefighters have been tackling wildfires across the country in Derbyshire, Greater Manchester, Hampshire, Durham, East and West Sussex, Devon and Somerset. In Conwy in North Wales, a mountain fire forced people from their homes and has been declared a major incident. Gareth Wynne-Jones farms in the area and has ponies on the fellside.
What I saw first was a lot of smoke billowing. Then I had a phone call off a friend of mine to say that there was a big fire on the Suckland Pass. So literally jumped on the quad because a friend of mine has got a small holding there and he's got some pigs. And of course our ponies roam in this area. So I just wanted to check if the ponies had moved forward, which they had. You know, the ponies I've seen hundreds of these kinds of fires before over the years. But it is always better just to make sure that everything's okay, and the sheep as well. But the pigs were stuck in the middle of the whole situation. So when I got there, the fire brigade was there, had a good chat with them, and the fire was just raging. It was moving at a speed that I'd never seen before. It was something like out of a Hollywood film. It was the perfect fire, I hate to say it, because wind was blowing. The vegetation, the gorse and the heather was so dry, it was just ripping through in it. And I've never seen a fire move in that kind of speed and change of direction. So the fireman said to me, we're not going to let you get down there to the pigs. We're going to just wait for it to, and the pigs were okay. The pigs were okay. So the fire passed, it came round, and then we went to check on the pigs after the fire had gone. So we found them and they were fine. They'd found a corner. There was a lot of smoke. I did a bit of a joke. I said, if anybody wants some smoky bacon, there's plenty.
I thought you were going to say that, honestly.
And I had all kinds of barbecue
Terrible.
pork jokes and things, but it was very, very difficult. But yeah, it was scary, to be honest with you.
What's left behind? Has it just taken out everything?
Ashes. Yeah, it's a hell of a mess, and we need the vegetation for the sheep and for the ponies. And I hate to say it, people need to be a little bit more diligent if they're going up onto the mountains with cigarette butts, with making fires, barbecues, whatever it is. Please be safe, because these mountains are like tinderboxes at the moment.
Farmer Gareth Wynne-Jones and two young lads managed to save the day just outside York on Sunday when fire spread rapidly across cereal crops. Cameron Bartram, who does farm work, and Jay Loft, who works on farms as a pest controller, rushed to help. They managed to use a tractor and roller to cut a swathe through the standing crop to make a fire break. Jay told me what happened.
I was driving down the A64, about to go check another field. And I got a call from somebody who lives in one of the houses because he knows I do a bit of work on one of these fields. And then the first thing that I did was call my friend Cameron, who I knew was a local farmer just from the next door village. So as fast as I could, I got there in my pickup and started opening gates and clearing people out the way. And then from there, Cameron got there as fast as he could. And then obviously we made an entrance in and started making some breaks with the discs in the field to try and stop it spreading anywhere near the houses or closer to the road, really.
You were going at quite a speed and the fire was going at quite a speed, wasn't it?
By the time we'd done one line, it was catching on again to the next part. So we had to obviously quite keep going up and down to make the break wider.
And did you know what you were doing, what you should do?
We had a rough idea, that obviously we need to break it and get it down to soil to try and stop it spreading the best we could. Obviously, the main priority was keeping it away from the houses, obviously, because the fire wouldn't make it over the road as such. But obviously, if it was making its way towards fences and sheds and things, obviously all the elderly residents and people were getting quite worried and didn't know what really was going on. It was surprising how fast when we got there. It was roaring and blazing. It was, I was in quite a bit of shock thinking, what should we do here, because it was moving that fast. And there was that vast of fields, it had taken 2 to 3 fields out already, coming up all 3 of them at once.
Had those fields been harvested already?
No, the fields were due to be harvested today or tomorrow.
So there's quite a lot of material then on fire.
Yeah, the full crops of wheat were going up. I think I spoke to the farmer. He said he lost about 30 acres of crop gone from the damage.
Yeah, that's not good, is it? But at least you were okay. When I saw the pictures, though, I was surprised how close you were. Could you feel the heat?
We could feel the heat coming through the cab quite heavy, yeah. It was a fair blaze.
Jay Loft there, who works on farms in the York area. Well, Dave Swallow is the National Fire Chiefs Council Wildfire Deputy Lead. He told me farm crops are particularly at risk.
Cereal crops become prime fuel for fires when they're ready to harvest because they're dry. And that's the same with any sort of grasses where we see, vegetation at the side of roads turning brown. It's because they're dying off because of the lack of moisture in the soil, or they get into that age. And so the longer we go on with these drier periods, the more fuel becomes available, the more vegetation starts to die and dry out more thoroughly, the more it becomes available. And so we get more severe wildfires from that.
We've just heard those two young farm workers who stepped in and made a fire break. But is there anything farmers can do before things happen to help?
Yeah, so, last year we did a piece of work with the NFU to put out some harvesting guidance, which includes having things like when you're combining in the field, at your field entrance, you've got a tractor hooked up to a plough, maybe a water bowser or a spreader that's filled with water, so that if you start a fire accidentally in the field, then you can quickly jump out of one vehicle into the other to go and start tackling it and putting a control line around. Ironically, what the two farmers did, the two young farmers there that you were talking about, did exactly what we're starting to do in terms of adopting tactics from colleagues from around the world in putting fire breaks in, because it's a far more effective way of controlling fires. My advice to the farming community is that's great, and we need your support to do that as fire services. But there is, that comes with some added risk, especially if they're too close to the fire when they're trying to do it. And that balance between trying to save as much crop as they can, but also maintaining their own safety at the same time, is one that, we want to work with the farming community on, either through, when we attend a fire or before and after.
Do you think this country is prepared for this? Should we be more prepared?
Yes, I think we need to be more prepared. Absolutely, yeah. We've seen an overall reduction in the number of firefighters across the country and an increase in demand, especially in climate-related incidents, so climate change-related incidents. So whether that's, flooding in the winter or wildfires through the spring and summer, there's an increased demand on fire services to help people out. So we need that sort of continued investment. Now we're recognising this risk, and this increasing risk is not new to us so much these days, but we're starting to recognise the impact it's having on our communities. We definitely need to continue on the journey we're on of improving our preparedness for response and preventing the fires in the first place.
Yeah. How are you feeling about it this year?
Every day it makes me a little more nervous about something really significant happening. And we're starting to see them sort of fires now, with not just fires that were controllable in a few hours, but that are now becoming very difficult to control and taking days, if not weeks, for us to get on top of.
Dave Swallow from the National Fire Chiefs Council. And if you have experience of wildfires and want to share any tips to prevent them, do get in touch. You can email farming.today@bbc.co.uk, and we do read all of your messages. That's all from us. I'm Anna Hill. The producer was Beatrice Fenton. Farming Today is a BBC Audio Bristol production.